Hi, everybody, and welcome back. Today's story is genuinely horrifying, like actual nightmare fuel. Because imagine celebrating your wedding day surrounded by family, friends, flowers, music, everything perfect. Then, moments before cutting the cake, you discover somebody secretly added peanuts into the frosting, even though they knew you had a deadly allergy.
Yeah, that is today's story.
And honestly, the person responsible made this whole thing even more evil somehow. So, our narrator is a 28-year-old woman named Lily. Lily lived in Manchester, and according to her, she had one extremely serious medical condition since childhood, a severe peanut allergy, not mild, not uncomfortable, deadly, hospital level deadly, the kind where even cross contamination becomes dangerous. Meaning, Lily spent her entire life being careful constantly, reading labels, asking restaurant questions, carrying emergency medication everywhere. Normal life for people with serious allergies, honestly. Now, Lily met her fiancé Ethan 4 years earlier through mutual friends. And overall, their relationship sounded genuinely healthy, supportive, funny, calm, which honestly matters later because Ethan handled Lily's allergy perfectly from the beginning, learned ingredient risks, checked menus automatically, even stopped keeping peanut snacks inside his apartment entirely. Basic respect, exactly what loving partners should do. Then came Ethan's mother, a woman named Diane. And honestly, the moment Lily described Diane, I already knew chaos was coming. Because Diane belonged to that very specific type of mother in law, the nobody is good enough for my son type, polite externally, passive aggressive underneath. You know the energy immediately. At first, Diane acted sweet enough, too sweet, honestly. Constant compliments that somehow still felt insulting. Oh, Lily is so brave despite her little food issues. Little food issues? Ma'am, anaphylaxis is not quirky dietary drama. Then Diane started making weird comments constantly, claiming allergies were overdiagnosed 10, saying children in her generation just ate normally. Again, interesting opinions from someone not carrying an EpiPen daily. Lily tried staying polite though, for Ethan's sake mostly, and Ethan usually defended her quickly whenever Diane crossed lines. Important tale, because this man actually supported his future wife consistently. Now wedding planning started about a year later, and honestly, things became stressful immediately once Diane involved herself. She criticized venues, flowers, dress choices, even seating charts, classic control behavior. But one issue became especially intense: the wedding cake. Now, because of Lily's allergy, the bakery handled everything extremely carefully. Dedicated equipment, ingredient verification, multiple allergy consultations. The head baker even personally promised the cake would remain completely peanut free, which honestly gave Lily huge peace of mind, especially because wedding days already feel emotionally overwhelming enough. Then came the strange part. Diane suddenly became weirdly obsessed with the cake flavors, repeatedly asking why peanuts could not simply stay on one side, or whether Lily's allergy was really that sensitive. Huge red flags, honestly. Massive ones. And 1 week before the wedding, Diane apparently visited the bakery privately without telling anyone. At the time, nobody knew, but trust me, that secret bakery visit changed everything. The week B, before the wedding, felt completely chaotic. Normal wedding chaos, though. Final dress fittings, family arriving, last minute seating disasters. You know, the usual emotional tornado. Meanwhile, Lily actually felt surprisingly calm about one thing specifically: the food, because she triple checked everything allergy related personally. The caterers knew, the bartenders knew, the bakery definitely knew. Even emergency medications sat ready in multiple locations just in case. Honestly, Lily handled the situation responsibly, which makes what happened later feel even more horrifying. Now, during rehearsal dinner, Diane kept making weird little comments again, especially about the cake. At one point, she sighed dramatically and said, "It's such a shame guests can't experience proper flavors because of all these restrictions." Proper flavors. Interesting choice of words from someone discussing potentially deadly ingredients. Ethan shut her down immediately, though. "Mom, stop." And honestly, that mattered a lot to Lily later because Ethan consistently recognized the behavior too. Then wedding day finally arrived. Beautiful venue, warm summer weather, everything hun. Esley sounded gorgeous. The ceremony went perfectly. Lily cried walking down the aisle. Ethan cried harder apparently. Very cute, honestly. And for a few hours, everything felt magical. exactly how weddings should feel. Then came the reception. Dinner finished smoothly. Guests laughed constantly. Music started. And eventually the wedding coordinator approached quietly.
Ready for the cake cutting?
Lily smiled instantly. Because honestly, she loved the cake design, elegant white frosting, fresh flowers, simple but beautiful. Then something strange happened. One of the catering assistants suddenly rushed toward the coordinator, looking panicked, whispering urgently. The coordinator's face changed immediately, and honestly, Lily felt cold all over instantly. Because people with severe allergies develop instincts around food danger emotionally. You notice panic fast. Then the coordinator pulled Lily aside privately. What exactly are your allergy restrictions again? Boom! Immediate terror. Lily said her heart started pounding so hard she barely heard anything afterward. She explained quickly. No peanuts, no peanut oil, no cross contamination. The coup, Ardinatra looked horrified. Apparently, one kitchen assistant overheard another bakery delivery worker mentioning special peanut frosting adjustments. Special peanut frosting adjustments. Oh my god. Lily physically started shaking immediately. Meanwhile, guests still laughed nearby, completely unaware something terrifying was happening. Then, Ethan walked over, noticing panic instantly. What's wrong? And according to Lily, watching his expression change after hearing peanuts felt surreal. Pure fear immediately. Not annoyance, not confusion. Fear. Because Ethan understood exactly what that could mean medically. The cake cutting stopped instantly. Staff rushed the entire cake back into the kitchen for emergency ingredient checks. And honestly, the next 15 minutes sounded like complete chaos. Phones ringing, managers arguing, kitchen staff panicking everywhere. Meanwhile, Lily sat trembling beside Ethan, trying not to cry. Because suddenly, one horrible possibility became real. Somebody intentionally ignored deadly allergy warnings. Then came the confirmation. The bakery manager called personally, and according to Lily, the woman sounded seconds away from vomiting emotionally. Because yes, peanuts had absolutely been added to part of the wedding cake, and trust me, the explanation somehow made everything even worse. The bakery manager arrived at the venue personally about 20 minutes later, still wearing her apron, completely pale. And honestly, the second Lily saw her expression, she knew this situation was catastrophic. The manager introduced herself shakily as Sandra, then immediately apologized over and over. I swear to you, this was never supposed to happen.
Meanwhile, Ethan looked furious already.
Actual shaking anger, not loud yet. Worse, quiet anger. Sandra explained the bakery maintained strict allergy protocols normally. Very strict. Lily's wedding order especially carried multiple warning labels because of the severe peanut risk, separate preparation areas, dedicated ingredient storage, everything documented carefully. So, how did peanuts end up inside the cake? That is where things became horrifying. Sandra explained somebody specifically requested a last minute flavor enhancement adjustment days earlier, an adjustment supposedly approved by the groom's family. And according to the Rikias, denotes the change came directly from Diane. Boom, absolute silence. Lily said the room physically spun for a second, because honestly, your brain does not immediately process that level of betrayal. Then Sandra revealed the worst detail yet. Diane apparently insisted peanuts only affected one small decorative section, claimed Lily exaggerated sensitivity, even reassured staff the bride would never actually eat that side. Excuse me? This woman risked anaphylactic shock during her son's wedding over flavor preferences? Insane behavior. Completely insane. And honestly, Ethan looked ready to explode hearing it. But Sandra was not finished. Apparently, one junior decorator questioned the request repeatedly because the allergy warnings looked serious. Smart employee. Very smart. But Diane became aggressive, claimed she was the groom's mother, insisted she understood the situation personally, and eventually confusion inside the bakery caused contamination during final assembly. Not intentional by staff, but still dangerous. Still potentially deadly. Lily later admitted that realization broke her emotionally because she trusted these people, trusted TH, E-System, trusted family. Meanwhile, somebody knowingly gambled with her life over wedding cake aesthetics. Then Ethan asked the obvious question, do you have proof my mother requested this? And honestly, Sandra's answer changed everything instantly. Yes, apparently the bakery kept detailed customer communication records automatically. phone logs, order modifications, even security footage near consultation counters. And according to Sandra, Diane personally visited the bakery days earlier, arguing about peanut-free recipes looking too restrictive. Oh my god, actual recorded evidence existed. Meanwhile, outside the private venue office, guests still waited confused about the delayed cake cutting, completely unaware the bride almost got poisoned. Then Ethan stood up suddenly, and according to Lily, she never saw him look that angry before. Ever. He grabbed his phone immediately, called Diane directly, and the second she answered, he asked one sentence: "Did you put peanuts in our wedding cake?" No greeting, no build-up, straight accusation. Then came the silence. And honestly, that silence told Ethan everything before Diane even started. TD speaking, because guilty people pause differently. Then Diane laughed nervously, actually laughed. Oh, please. Nobody was going to die over a little peanut flavoring. Little peanut flavoring, Lily said, hearing that destroyed something inside her permanently. Because suddenly this stopped being ignorance. Diane understood the risk completely. She simply decided Lily's safety mattered less than her own opinion. Ethan completely lost it after that sentence. And honestly, good. Because some situations deserve anger. Real anger. Not polite family conflict management. Not keeping the peace. This woman knowingly interfered with deadly allergy precautions during a wedding reception. That crosses every possible line. Lily said Ethan's voice turned frighteningly calm suddenly, the kind of calm hiding explosive rage underneath. You could have killed her. Diane immediately became defensive. Oh, stop being dramatic. Dramatic, interesting word choice for attempted allergen exposure. Then Diane started rambling excuses rapidly, claimed she only wanted one small adjustment, claimed modern allergies get overhyped, claimed the bakery misunderstood her intentions. Dion's. But honestly, nobody cared anymore because the facts already existed. Phone records, bakery notes, staff witnesses, potentially even footage. Meanwhile, Lily sat there emotionally numb. That part really stayed with me honestly, because traumatic betrayal often feels weirdly quiet internally at first. Your brain just stops functioning properly. Then Diane made everything even worse somehow. She actually said, "I didn't think Ethan should spend his whole life controlled by your food paranoia." Food paranoia. Ma'am, anaphylaxis can literally stop breathing. This is not wellness blog nonsense. Ethan finally snapped fully. No, you listen to me carefully. You are done. Done. Short sentence. Massive meaning. Then he hung up immediately. And according to Lily, that moment changed their marriage permanently. Because Ethan chose his wife completely. No hesitation. No. Both sides. No excuses for his mother. Just absolute loyalty. Honestly, that matters enormously in stories like this. Then came the next nightmare. The bakery staff confirmed contamination uncertainty spread across multiple decorative sections of the cake, meaning nobody could save. Identify which pieces carried peanut traces anymore. So the entire wedding cake got removed completely. Gone. Now, obviously, the cake itself did not matter emotionally at that point, but guests started noticing tension fast, whispers everywhere, people asking questions. Then somehow Diane arrived at the venue anyway. Yeah. This woman physically came back after the phone call, and according to Lily, she still looked annoyed instead of ashamed. Actual unbelievable behavior. Diane marched toward Ethan immediately. You embarrassed me over nothing. Over nothing. The bride almost got exposed to a deadly allergen during her own wedding. Nothing. Ethan stepped directly between Diane and Lily instantly. Good man, honestly. Very good man. Then the bakery manager Sandra approached two carrying printed order modification records. And honestly, watching Diane's confidence collapse sounded incredible. Because Sandra recognized her immediately. No confusion whatsoever. That's the woman who requested the peanut changes. Boom. Direct witness confirmation in public. Several nearby relatives overheard instantly, and suddenly the reception atmosphere shifted completely. Telly. People stopped whispering politely. Now they stared openly, especially after Ethan explained exactly what happened medically. Diane tried denying it again, claimed Sandra misunderstood, claimed she only suggested almond flavor ideas. Except Sandra calmly corrected her immediately. No, you specifically discussed crushed peanut garnish options. Done. Finished. Then came the final devastating detail. The bakery security cameras captured the entire consultation conversation clearly, meaning Diane's behavior existed on video too. And honestly, that was the exact second Diane finally looked genuinely afraid. The reception basically split into emotional chaos after that. Some guests looked horrified, others looked confused, trying to understand the severity. And honestly, people without deadly allergies sometimes struggle grasping how terrifying contamination really is. This was not dietary preference drama. This was emergency room potential. Meanwhile, Diane kept trying minimizing everything desperately. I didn't know it was that serious. Interesting. Because earlier she accused Lily of food paranoia, meaning she absolutely understood the allergy exit. Set, she just refused respecting it. Huge difference. Then Ethan's father arrived looking completely blindsided. Apparently nobody informed him about any bakery changes either. And according to Lily, the second he learned what Diane did, his face completely dropped. You did what? That sentence carried genuine shock, honestly, which mattered, because now even Diane's own husband stopped defending her instantly. Then came the footage confirmation. Sandra showed Ethan and the venue coordinator short clips from the bakery security system directly on her phone. No audio at first, but visually, crystal clear. Diane pointing aggressively at design sketches, bakery staff looking uncomfortable, ingredient lists spread across the counter. Then another clip showed Diane signing modification approval paperwork personally. Boom, no denial left. Absolutely none. Lily later admitted seeing the footage made her physically nauseous, because this was not a careless misunderstanding anymore. It was deliberate interference, planned, intentional. And honestly, that realization changed everything emotionally. Then the police got mentioned for the first time. Not by Lily, not by Ethan, by the venue manager, apparently knowingly introducing dangerous allergens against documented medical warnings can cross legal lines depending on circumstances, especially with written evidence proving awareness. Huge problem, and according to witnesses, that was the exact moment Diane finally started crying. Funny how consequences create emotions suddenly. Then she switched strategies completely. Now, instead of denial, she played victim, claimed everybody attacked her unfairly, claimed wedding stress confused her, claimed she only wanted the cake tasting more traditional. Traditional, man. You nearly caused anaphylaxis at a wedding reception. Nobody cares about flavor traditions anymore. Then Ethan delivered one of the coldest lines I've heard in these stories, honestly. You are never coming near my wife again. Absolute silence afterward, because everybody understood he meant it completely. No temporary anger, no dramatic exaggeration, done forever. Diane apparently started sobbing harder hearing that, but honestly, nobody comforted her, not even relatives. Because once people realized the full situation, sympathy vanished immediately. Then came another horrifying discovery. The contaminated cake already sat partially sliced backstage before staff stopped the ceremony. Meaning, if the catering assistant had not overheard bakery comments in time, guests could have served Lily contaminated cake publicly during photos. That detail genuinely chilled me, because we are talking minutes away from potential medical catastrophe here. Then the reception quietly shifted into damage control mode. Emergency desserts got arranged quickly, guests reassured, music resumed awkwardly. But honestly, the emotional atmosphere never recovered fully afterward. How could it? The bride nearly got poisoned by her own mother-in-law, and trust me, the legal fallout afterward became absolutely brutal. The morning after the wedding felt emotionally surreal. Most newly married couples wake up surrounded by flowers, gifts, happy exhaustion. Lily woke up replaying peanut contamination scenarios in her head repeatedly. What if the catering assistant stayed quiet? What if Ethan fed her cake during photos first? What if children grabbed slices randomly before staff stopped everything? Honestly, the delayed fear hit harder over night, because once adrenaline disappears, reality settles properly. Meanwhile, Ethan looked furious all morning. Not dramatic rage anymore, cold, permanent anger. And according to Lily, that scared her slightly, because Ethan normally stayed unbelievably calm during conflict. But this crossed something deep emotionally. Then came the family fallout. Oh my god, the family fallout exploded instantly. Relatives started calling non-stop. Some crying, some apologizing on Diane's behalf, others demanding explanations, and honestly, most people sounded horrified once they learned the full story. especially after the bakery footage got mentioned, because intention matters a lot. Then Ethan's father arrived unexpectedly at their apartment carrying copies of police contact information and bakery reports. Apparently, he spent all night arguing with Diane after leaving the reception. Huge arguments. Screaming level arguments. And according to him, Diane still kept insisting she never meant actual harm. Again, interesting wording, because nobody accused her of wanting murder exactly. The issue was knowingly gambling with somebody else's survival for personal preference. That alone feels monstrous enough. Then Ethan's father quietly revealed something even more disturbing. Apparently, Diane complained privately for years that Lily's allergy controlled family meals too much. Excuse me? So this resentment built long before the wedding, meaning the cake incident was not random stupidity. It was emotional retaliation somehow. That realization made Lily physically sick, because suddenly the wedding cake stopped being isolated behavior. It became escalation. Then came the official bakery statement. T. Sandra sent detailed written records voluntarily, phone call logs, modification forms, internal employee concerns, even timestamps showing Diane specifically ignored repeated allergy warnings from staff. Absolute disaster legally, especially because one employee documented feeling uncomfortable proceeding after Diane dismissed contamination risks casually. Yeah, not good. Then the police investigation officially started. And honestly, some people online later argued that sounded excessive. Absolutely not. Because knowingly introducing dangerous allergens after explicit medical warnings can legally resemble reckless endangerment in certain situations, especially with documented awareness. This was not accidental ingredient confusion. The evidence mattered enormously. Then came the moment that truly broke Ethan emotionally. While reviewing bakery footage more carefully, investigators recovered audio from one consultation segment. And according to Lily, Diane literally laughed during part of the conversation while saying, "She'll survive one little taste eventually." Oh my god, that sentence destroyed everything permanently, because now intent looked horrifyingly clear. Not ignorance, not misunderstanding, control. She genuinely believed exposing Lily forcefully might somehow prove the allergy was exaggerated. Completely insane behavior, honestly. Then Ethan made his final decision regarding his mother. No contact, full stop, no calls, no visits, no future relationship. And honestly, after hearing that audio clip, nobody blamed him whatsoever. Ethan informed Diane about the no contact decision through email, not a phone call, not another argument, just one cold written message. And honestly, that felt appropriate, because people who weaponize plausible deniability hate documentation. The email was short, very short. According to Lily, it basically said, "You knowingly endangered my wife despite repeated warnings. Until further notice, you are no longer part of our lives. Do not contact us again." Boom, done. No emotional negotiation, no loopholes. Then Ethan blocked her everywhere. Phone, social media, everything. And honestly, Diane completely lost her mind afterward. She started calling relatives, non-stop crying dramatically. Claimed Lily turned Ethan against his family. Class. I see manipulator strategy. Nothing is ever their own fault somehow. Then she shifted stories repeatedly. First she forgot about the allergy. Then she misunderstood ingredients. Then suddenly she only suggested almonds. Problem was, the bakery records destroyed every version, especially the audio. That audio clip became devastating legally and socially, because once people heard, "She'll survive one little taste eventually," everything changed. Nobody reasonable defended Diane afterward, not even extended family. Then came another shocking detail. Apparently, Diane attempted contacting the bakery privately after the wedding, asking them to avoid exaggerating misunderstandings publicly. Oh no! Huge mistake, because the bakery immediately documented that communication too. Meaning now investigators saw post-incident behavior potentially resembling damage control. Not good at all. Then Lily finally listened to the full consultation audio personally, and honestly, she said that experience haunted her deeply, because Diane sounded calm, casual even, not angry, not emotional, just dismissive, like Lily's life mattered less than proving some weird personal point. That realization disturbed Lily more than the actual contamination itself. Then the police requested formal statements from everybody involved: bakery staff, venue coordinators, catering assistants. even family witnesses. And according to Sandra, several employees cried afterward because they realized how close the situation came to disaster. One decorator apparently refused sleeping properly for days. Because imagine unknowingly helping create something that could kill a bride during her wedding reception. Terrifying. Then came the media attention. Not huge national coverage or anything, but local legal gossip spreads fast online, especially involving weddings and poison risk allegations. People started recognizing details through bakery discussion groups and local forums. And honestly, public reaction absolutely destroyed Diane, especially once somebody leaked that infamous audio sentence, "She'll survive one little taste eventually." That line became nightmare fuel online instantly. Then Ethan's father quietly filed for separation from Diane weeks later. Yeah. Apparently, the cake incident forced him confronting years of manipulative behavior he eyed. Or previously. That part really stayed with me, honestly. Because sometimes one horrifying event exposes deeper patterns everybody normalized too long. Then came the final legal hearing. And trust me, watching Diane attempt defending herself publicly sounded absolutely painful. The legal hearing happened about 3 months after the wedding. And honestly, Lily almost did not attend. Because by then, the emotional exhaustion felt overwhelming. Retelling the story repeatedly drained her completely. But Ethan insisted gently she should have to see what she did to us, and honestly, he was right. So they arrived together holding hands, while Diane sat across the room beside her solicitor, looking completely different from the woman at the reception. Smaller somehow, less confident, but still not remorseful enough, honestly. That part mattered. Because real remorse changes people visibly. Diane mostly looked angry about consequences instead. Then the bakery footage got presented officially. And according to Lily, watching it inside a courtroom felt surreal. There was Diane, clear as day, arguing about flavors, dismissing allergy concerns, pushing staff repeatedly. Then came the audio segment. She'll survive one little taste eventually. Absolute silence filled the courtroom afterward. Even Diane's solicitor looked uncomfortable hearing it. Good, he should have. Then the bakery employees testified next. And honestly, their statements destroyed Diane completely. One decorator described warning her 3 separate times about contamination risks. Another employee explained Diane specifically rolled her eyes during allergy discussions. Rolled her eyes at potentially deadly medical information. Then Sandra testified too, calm, professional, detailed, and according to Lily, Sandra's testimony carried huge weight because she documented everything meticulously from the beginning. Modification forms, phone calls, staff concerns, all time-stamped beautifully. Documentation wins again honestly. Then Diane finally testified personally. And wow, her defense sounded terrible, absolutely terrible. She kept insisting she never intended real harm. Again with intent, as if reckless disregard somehow becomes acceptable without explicit murder plans. Then she accidentally exposed herself further, because during questioning, NG, Diane admitted believing Lily's allergy responses were probably exaggerated from anxiety. Boom! There it was, the real mindset finally exposed publicly. She genuinely thought medical reality mattered less than her personal opinion. Completely terrifying, honestly. Then the judge asked one devastating question. If you believe the allergy was exaggerated, why conceal ingredient changes from the bride and groom? Silence. Long silence, because there was no good answer. None. And according to Lily, that silence emotionally felt like final confirmation of everything. Then the judge referenced the audio clip directly while discussing reckless indifference toward foreseeable medical risk. Oof. Not language you want connected to your name publicly, especially in legal records. Then came the ruling. The court determined Diane knowingly interfered with documented allergy protections despite clear warnings, meaning the situation crossed beyond misunderstanding into reckless endangerment territory. And honestly, Diane completely broke down hearing it. Real panic finally appeared, not because Lily nearly died, because consequences became official. Then Ethan's, stood afterward preparing to leave, and Diane quietly whispered, "You'd really abandon your mother over this?" Over this. Those 2 words honestly summarize manipulative people perfectly sometimes. Because to Diane, almost poisoning somebody still felt small compared to losing control over her son. And Ethan answered with one sentence that absolutely buried everything permanently. No, I'm leaving because you were willing to risk my wife's life and still think you're the victim. After the hearing ended, Lily expected relief immediately. Instead, she mostly felt tired, deeply tired. Because surviving betrayal from strangers hurts differently than betrayal from family. Family betrayal requires trust emotionally, especially when the person smiles at you during dress fittings while secretly dismissing your medical survival privately. That kind of realization stays with people. Then something surprisingly emotional happened. The bakery staff invited Lily and Ethan back weeks later for a private apology dinner. Not corporate PR nonsense either. Genuine apology. Sandra even cried while explaining how devastated the team felt afterward. And honestly, Lily never blamed the bakery fully. Because once the footage and records appeared, it became obvious staff tried warning Diane repeatedly. Still, the emotional damage affected everybody. Then the bakery revealed one final detail nobody knew previously. Apparently, after Diane's consultation visit, one decorator privately suggested cancelling the entire wedding order due to client interference concerns. Smart instinct, honestly. But management feared overreacting legally without direct proof of malicious intent. That detail haunted Sandra afterward. Because imagine recognizing danger early but not fully understanding how serious it truly becomes later. Terrifying. Then came the family split. Oh my, the family split sounded brutal. Most relatives sided with Ethan and Lily immediately, especially once the audio surfaced publicly inside family circles. But a few older relatives still pushed the classic nonsense. She's still his mother. I hate that argument, honestly. Being related to someone does not erase dangerous behavior, especially deliberate dangerous behavior. Thankfully, Ethan never wavered once. Not once. And honestly, that consistency mattered enormously to Lily Emoti, or Millie, because many spouses try forcing reconciliation after family betrayal. Ethan did the opposite. He protected his wife completely. Then came the saddest detail of all. Apparently, Diane continued insisting privately that nothing actually happened because Lily never physically ate the contaminated cake. That mindset genuinely horrifies me. By that logic, attempted drunk driving becomes acceptable if nobody crashes. Consequences matter even when disaster gets prevented, especially when prevention happened through pure luck and alert staff. Then, about 6 months later, Lily and Ethan quietly renewed wedding photos privately with a small anniversary picnic. No extended family, no stress, no cake from outside vendors either, honestly. Just simple desserts Ethan baked himself after triple checking ingredients repeatedly. And according to Lily, that small peaceful afternoon healed more emotionally than the original wedding reception ever could, because safety feels romantic too. Protection feels romantic. Then Lily ended her final update with one sentence that honestly hit me hard. She wrote, "I married the right man. I just learned it in the worst possible way." Wow, that line stayed with me. 10 past the ultimate spouse test imaginable, no hesitation, no minimizing, no loyalty confusion, just immediate protection and accountability. And trust me, the internet had extremely strong opinions about Diane afterward. Now, personally, this story terrified me, not because family drama is unusual. Unfortunately, toxic in laws exist everywhere, but because Diane genuinely convinced herself she understood Lily's medical condition better than actual doctors. That mindset kills people, literally. And honestly, the audio recording changed everything emotionally. Without that sentence, she'll survive one little taste eventually. Diane probably spends years pretending the situation was misunderstood. But recordings do not care about manipulation. They preserve reality beautifully. Now the internet absolutely exploded over this story. Top comment said, "Imagine risking manslaughter over wedding cake aesthetics." Honestly, exactly. Another commenter wrote, "Ethan choosing his wife immediately without excuses healed my trust issues slightly. Same honestly, because too many stories involve spouses minimi, zing dangerous family behavior. Ethan did the complete opposite. Then somebody shared something genuinely horrifying. My aunt secretly tested my allergy once because she thought I was dramatic. I ended up hospitalized. See? That right there explains why people reacted so strongly. A shocking number of individuals think allergies become opinion based somehow. Completely insane behavior. Then came one comment that perfectly captured Diane's psychology. This person wrote, "She cared more about being right than keeping the bride alive." Absolutely. That is the core issue exactly. Control, not cake, not flavor, control. Then another commenter said, the fact she waited until the wedding proves she knew nobody would question the groom's mother confidently enough. Interesting point, honestly. Manipulative people often choose emotionally chaotic environments intentionally. Weddings, funerals, hospitals. Moments where everybody feels distracted and polite. Then came my favorite comment easily. Someone wrote, Diane lost her son, her marriage, her reputation, and possibly criminal charges because she couldn't accept peanuts weren't more important than ego. Bo, Tiffany said, because honestly, that is what destroyed her eventually. Ego. She needed proving herself correct more than she valued another human being's safety. And that mindset eventually isolated her completely. Now, after all that emotional nightmare fuel, we definitely need a palate cleanser. So let's finish this video with a petty revenge story involving an office chili cook-off, fake spice tolerance, and one coworker named Brad who learned a very painful lesson about lying for attention. And trust me, this one gets ridiculous unbelievably fast. So this next story comes from a guy named Marcus, and honestly, the moment Brad appeared, I already knew disaster was guaranteed, because Marcus described him using one perfect sentence. He treated mild inconvenience like a masculinity competition.
Yeah.
That tells you everything immediately. Marcus worked at an accounting firm in Leeds. Very boring office, very fluorescent lighting, very depressing printer noises constantly. You know the type. Now, every autumn, the office hosted a charity chili cook-off. Simple little tradition. Employees brought homemade chili. Co-workers voted. Winning recipe got a goofy, plastic trophy. Nothing serious. Except Brad somehow transformed it into male warrior theater every year. This man obsessed over spice tolerance. Constantly. Every lunch break became performance art. Oh, this curry's basically yogurt. I only eat ghost peppers now. British people fear seasoning. Sir, you process spreadsheets for a living. Relax emotionally. Now, honestly, most co-workers ignored him. But Brad also mocked people publicly for disliking spicy food, especially quieter employees. And one favorite target became Marcus. Why? Marcus once admitted medium salsa already felt intense for him. Huge mistake, apparently. Danhe. Brad never let it go afterward. For months he called Marcus vanilla tongue. Actual embarrassing adult behavior. Then cook-off season arrived again. The hottest chili the office ever survived. Meanwhile, Marcus actually the office ever survived. Meanwhile, Marcus actually loved cooking secretly, especially traditional Caribbean recipes learned from his grandmother. Important detail, very important, because Marcus understood real spice deeply, not internet challenge nonsense. Balanced spice, flavorful spice, the kind that sneaks up slowly and destroys overconfident people beautifully. Then during pre-event lunch break, Brad made one final mistake. He loudly announced, anybody who cries over spice should stick to baby food honestly, while staring directly at Marcus. Oof. And according to Marcus, something inside him activated instantly. Not anger exactly, creativity. Dangerous creativity. So Marcus entered the cook-off quietly for the first time ever. No bragging, no dramatic announcements. Just one pot of homemade chili labeled simply, Grandma's recipe. Now here is the important part. Marcus did not make the chili absurdly spicy immediately. That would feel suspicious. No, no, no. He made it delicious first. Rich flavor, smoky depth, slow building heat underneath. The kind of dish making people underestimate it completely, especially attention-seeking idiots like Brad. Then cook-off day finally arrived, and honestly, everything unfolded even better than Marcus imagined. Because Brad took one spoonful of the chili, smirked confidently, then loudly announced to the entire office, this barely warm. Oh no. Massive mistake. Because Marcus's grandmother, R apparently used one specific pepper blend with delayed heat response. Meaning the real suffering arrived about 90 seconds later, and trust me, watching Brad's confidence collapse publicly became legendary inside that office forever. At first, Brad looked completely fine. That is honestly what made everything funnier. He kept walking around the office smirking confidently after tasting Marcus's chili. Even grabbed a second spoonful dramatically. Huge error. Absolute catastrophic error. Meanwhile, Marcus quietly continued serving co-workers normally, pretending nothing unusual happened. And honestly, that is the beauty of delayed spice. Overconfident people always think they won early. Then, exactly 90 seconds later, Brad stopped talking mid sentence, completely stopped. One coworker later described it perfectly. It looked like his soul suddenly received bad news. Brad blinked rapidly, face turning red instantly. Then came the coughing. Not cute little coughs either, actual violent coughing. The office went silent immediately, and honestly, everybody thought he might genuinely choke for a second. Then Brad grabbed water desperately. Another huge mist. Ache. Because water against serious pepper heat basically spreads suffering emotionally. Marcus later admitted he warned him internally in his head, spiritually at least. Then Brad started sweating unbelievably fast, forehead shining, eyes watering, tie loosened halfway. Meanwhile, coworkers stared in disbelief watching this man emotionally dissolve beside the copier machine. And remember, this is the same guy who mocked everyone else for months over spice tolerance. Beautiful karma, honestly. Then came the best part. Brad still refused admitting defeat publicly, even while dying internally. This is fine, he wheezed. Sir, you look medically haunted right now. Then one coworker casually asked, Wait, wasn't this barely warm? Boom, direct hit. The office immediately exploded laughing, especially because Brad physically could not defend himself properly anymore. At one point, he actually opened the refrigerator and started drinking coffee creamer straight from the container. I swear, which honestly made the situation infinitely funnier somehow. Then Marcus finally walked over politely, very politely, and asked, You okay there, Vanilla Tongue? Absolute assassination. Co-workers reportedly lost control completely after that, people crying laughing near accounting desks. Managers pretending not to laugh while absolutely laughing. Even HR later heard about the Great Chili incident. And honestly, Brad's office reputation never recovered fully afterward. Because once somebody builds their entire personality around superiority, public humiliation hits differently, especially self inflicted humiliation. Then came the funniest detail. Brad apparently avoided Marcus's lunches forever afterward. Not joking. If Marcus brought homemade food, Brad suddenly found reasons eating elsewhere. Trauma, honestly. Pure trauma. And the best part, Marcus's chili actually won the office cook-off later that afternoon by unanimous vote. Because unlike Brad's pain equals flavor nonsense, Marcus understood something important. Real cooking balances heat with flavor beautifully. And honestly, that feels like the perfect ending to today's Chaos collection. The loudest people always think performance equals strength, until reality arrives quietly and embarrasses them publicly. Honestly, that chilly story healed me emotionally after the wedding nightmare. Because Brad absolutely walked into his own destruction voluntarily, nobody forced him proving imaginary spice dominance publicly, and the internet loved Marcus immediately. Top comment said, It looked like his soul received bad news nearly killed me. Honestly? Same, another commenter wrote. Brad drank coffee creamer like a Victorian child dying from tuberculosis. Why is that description so accurate emotionally? Then somebody shared a story that genuinely made me laugh. My cousin bragged about handling spicy wings once and accidentally pepper sprayed himself in the bathroom later. See? This is why fake toughness always becomes comedy eventually. Then came one comment that perfectly connected all today's stories. This person wrote, Every villain today thought they were smarter than consequences. Exactly. Diane thought allergies were exaggerated. Brad thought spice tolerance made him superior. Martin thought grief would stop legal challenges. Different situations, same arrogance. And honestly, arrogance destroys people faster than enemies usually do. Then another commenter said, Ethan cutting his mother off immediately restored my faith in marriage slightly. Honestly, that stayed with me too, because love means protection sometimes. Real protection. Not neutrality while dangerous behavior happens. Then came my favorite comment easily. Someone wrote, Today's stories taught me three things. Trust your instincts, document everything, and never underestimate Caribbean grandmothers. Beautiful summary, honestly, especially the grandmother part. Now, if there is one lesson hiding inside all today's chaos, it is this. Manipulative people survive through self doubt and politeness. They count on others hesitating, questioning themselves, avoiding conflict. That is why evidence matters so much. Video footage, audio clips, screenshots, records. Reality becomes harder twisting once proof exists publicly. And honestly, boundaries matter too, whether it is toxic family members, arrogant coworkers, or controlling in laws. People who repeatedly disrespect your safety or peace eventually lose access to you. That is not cruelty, that is survival. Anyway, guys, that officially wraps today's Chaos Collection. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And seriously, if you made it this far, you are officially part of the Emotional Damage Recovery Committee now. Hit that subscribe button, save this video for later, and tell me in the comments who was worse, Diane with the wedding cake, Martin with the fake will, or Brad with the spicy. Honestly, knowingly risking an allergy still wins nightmare fuel for me personally. Take care of yourselves, protect your peace, trust your instincts, and I will see you guys in the next one.